Okay, welcome back to the channel. I want to shoot a quick follow-up video from the video yesterday. Well, I released it yesterday, even though I shot it 2 days ago. I'm shooting this today, hopefully uploading it today. And I just want to touch on a few things and gonna kind of wrap this up for myself. Not gonna really talk about it anymore, but there's some more points that need to be made. So interesting things is I just want to point out some basics here because I see that with like a lot of people, we need to go way back to the beginning, way back to the basics. So let's take some examples. When somebody votes against a bill, a Congress member, a Senate member, a House member votes against a bill, it doesn't mean it's because they're pro the other thing or pro the opposite thing. So Rand Paul voting yesterday no against the anti-lynching bill doesn't mean he's pro-lynching. I think this is common sense. Let's stop playing pretend. And so that doesn't mean that he supports it. It means that he doesn't like things in the bill and he wants to make changes. Very simple. When people don't mention specific things, it's not because there's some hidden agenda. With some people, yes. Maybe they just forget. Maybe they haven't solidified the message clearly in their mind. And they kind of went out and they had enough of the pieces together and they shot. And it doesn't mean that because they didn't specifically say something a certain way means that they're pro this other thing. And in case you're wondering, yes, this is a big pimple on my face. 35 years old, good to know I can still get those. So let's talk about this. I've seen a lot of really bad takes. And so I want to cover two topics, is what can we do and what's the actual problem? Okay, so, and I'm going to attempt to make this much more defined and boxed out than the other video that I shot, which again, that video was unscripted. That video was just a rant. That's just like, as all the pieces come in my brain, bang, I laid them out. And is that the best version of how I can talk about those things and those details? No. Was there things missing? Absolutely. That's how it goes. So yeah, it's just, I got some funny messages and funny comments, and that's what you can expect, right? Okay, so let's start with what's the actual problem. There is a systematic, racist, prejudiced problem in the whole planet. Now, I love that it's getting attention here in America, but in a way, when we focus on it, just super intense black versus white problems in America, it puts all the rest of the prejudice and racism and every other ISM in the dark on a micro level and on a macro level. People don't know this because most people don't travel outside of the United States. Like, if right now you're spouting out at the mouth with this opinion that you think is so true, but you've never traveled outside the United States, you need to just shut your mouth because you have no fucking clue what you're talking about. And that's not like let's have a competition of who's got the most culture. That's not my point. My point is that until you actually see how other people live, you have no real lens of what's good, what's bad, what prejudice is. Should I be happy right now? Should I be sad? Is my life hard? Am I going through struggle and adversity right now? You really have no perception of that. You've got a bullshit lens on those things that you see based on your limited experiences, right? So you don't really begin to see wider, a bigger perspective until you travel the world. I'm the same way. The things, I laugh at myself, the things that I used to think were a problem versus now what I know problems are. Going and seeing starving nations, going and seeing racism in other countries. It's like, you don't really realize what's what until you can get that perspective. So I really think that the people who've never traveled outside of their state, never traveled outside of their country, just need to shut up. And there is an aspect of this, like I've seen this take, which I thought was decent. Now's the time to listen. If you're uneducated on this conversation, then you need to listen. Okay, if you're not, then you can feel free to insert your opinions and your speculation, right? Which most of this is just opinion. Okay, so what do I mean by that? So some things I've been able to learn and see is that people assume that racism doesn't exist in Asia because, and that's probably my best example, is because they just think like, oh, like Asians, they're not racist. They are. there, and I wouldn't even call it racism because that's such a poorly defined word now. We've taken we've taken the definition of that word and stretched it. Which, by the way, racism itself is a 20th century word. It might have been called something else way back in the day, but like how we know it and what we define it as has been really stretched and moved. So I will just say judgment against others. And there's layers to this, right? Like I grew up in Warren, Michigan, by the way. So there. If you want to talk about somebody who got to see it firsthand, but then also see that it wasn't there, it was me. I was doing extreme sports at 13, 14 years old. We were going down to the streets of Detroit at 12, 1, 2 a.m. No problems. White kids, bunch of white little skater kids going down to the ghetto. Zero problems. Across years and years and years of doing it. So, but I also got to see the other side of it, right? And there was definitely that, white versus black stuff, okay? But anyway, so I grew up there, but there's different levels of this. Like I grew up with Eddie Murphy as a stand-up comedian, and I used to watch him, and I used to love him because he was fucking funny, okay? He used to say shit about white people. It wasn't racism, it was true. Like to say something about a white person, if it's just like a statistical anomaly, if it's just like a statistical fact and it's just like a funny thing we do, that's not racism, dude. It's just pointing out something funny that's a truism. And just because you don't like it doesn't make it racist. Same thing goes with black people. It's whether it's the foods we eat, the sodas we like, the drinks we like, the way we dress. So there's different levels of judgment, and that's how I think that's a smarter way to define this, is it's really just layers of judgment. They have layers of judgment everywhere, by the way. So there's layers of judgment in Asia against white people, against black people, against brown people, against each other. Oh my God, who would have thought, right? And this is another funny one. It's not funny in the sense, haha, but it's just funny in the sense of its silliness. But you've heard the term, like, white people all look the same, black people all look the same, Asian people all look the same. I think every race has said that at least one point. One person in one race has said something like that. And it's not because that's a racist statement. It's because it's just this truism that when you first start seeing a different culture, a different color of people, they at first look the same. That's just an observation, okay? And so there is prejudice against white and black people in all of Asia. And there's Asian against Asian as well. In Japan, it's called Gaijin. In Indonesia, it's called Bule. It just means outsider, not from here. In Indonesia, in Thailand, for being white, for being black, you get pulled over by the police and they extort money from you. They extort money from you at the airport. The drivers charge you more money. When you want to rent a house, you pay more. When you want to eat food, you pay more. 90% of the time. Where's the outrage? Oh my God. Now, here's where this becomes funny. Well, Jay, that's over there and this is over here. I don't give a fuck about that because that doesn't affect me. But isn't that the ultimate hypocrisy? Couldn't we all claim that in some shade right now? That doesn't affect me. Fuck that. Isn't that the problem? Isn't the actual problem that doesn't affect me? Turn away? Turn a blind eye? I mean, come on. That's the problem with male on female abuse. That's the problem with bullying in general, in schools, in genders, in race. That's the problem. So it's like, what are we fucking talking about with this surface level bullshit? Let's get down into the deep roots. Racism exists in America and it's like brown versus white, black versus white, whatever word you want to use, okay? That exists because it's happened and it's been culturally facilitated throughout time. And it's funny to me that the same people, the same white people, the same fake black conservatives that are crying racism are they themselves the racists. That's how it usually goes. The guy who's standing up for children is the one who's abusing them. The one who is standing up for women's rights is the same one abusing them. How many times have we seen this now? Over and over and over and over and over again. Is that the ultimate truth? Is that the 100% line down the middle? No. I'm speaking in generalities. So we have to discuss and talk about the core problems. So, because it's so simple, it's so cheap to blame it on like this thing, right? So how we're taught history is part of the problem. How we're taught history from the schools and from our families is part of the problem. It has facilitated this angst Okay, how the police departments are trained is part of the problem. How I wouldn't even say military. I really just think it's a police issue, because within military, I've been around enough of those guys at the highest level and at the lowest levels, and there's not really prejudice issues to a degree. But I could argue that that's really just a lower level of judgment, and it's not an actual racism issue. But in the police departments, it absolutely exists. Well, how are those people being trained? And what type of people does that attract? Why don't we look at the fundamentals here? You see, there's a big key point that a lot of people missed in my last video. And it got a ton of thumbs down. And you know what? Thank you for the thumbs down. Keep that same energy flowing. You are helping the world this much. Okay, so the key points that are being missed is listen to all the mindset stuff I'm sharing with you. Listen to all the mentally shifting components I'm giving you to change how you look at the world around you, so that, oh my God, we can improve. The world can become a better place. And I'll tell you what, I would much rather have 1 million people talking that message than some of the messages I'm hearing. I heard a message yesterday that basically was from a fitness YouTuber that was black, and he said, hey, if you're not out in the streets protesting for us, you're a racist. And I swear, man, that infuriates me, because that's not solving the problem. And then it triggers me to want to like pick apart how much you're doing for your own community. Like, when was the last time you were in the high schools of the broken communities and the school systems and the districts that can't afford weightlifting and coaching and training? When is the last time you were there giving your Sunday for free and it wasn't posted on social media for clout? When is the last time you were in your own community? And I think that should be the bigger takeaway from something like that. I look at something like that and I'm like, okay, how do I immediately feel? I want to punch this motherfucker in the face, because it's a triggering thing that's not even rooted in a foundational part of the problem. It's just a surface level gotcha, like guilt trip. And then I'm like, okay, well, let's look deeper. How does that make me feel? Like, what have I been doing for my community? And that's a perfect pivot into the second part of this video. Is it's like, the question I think more of us should be taking away, and this is where it gets muddy, because like I can call out people by name, like, where's Tony? Where's Tony Robbins? Where's our fucking hero? Where's our mindset coach, not your guru? Did a Netflix documentary with hundreds of millions of views. Where the fuck is that guy? Like in Times Square, just doing a free fucking seance and let's all walk on fire together. Where is that guy at? Right? So you want to talk about being angry? Can't we just direct that at anybody? Couldn't we just direct that at whoever the fuck we want? Me shooting this video, which I get plenty of that. Go for it. Okay, what did that solve? Couldn't we be mad at, like, I saw another awful take, Russell Brunson, the guy who runs ClickFunnels and a huge time marketer, right? Mormon, claims he loves Jesus. Couldn't we guilt him into giving away free products? Couldn't you guilt me into giving all my shit away for free? Like, where does that end? Does that solve the problem? No. No, it doesn't. And what I think the bigger takeaway should be is like, how can I give back more? So you want to talk about actions? I talked about actions in the last video. How can I give away more? The VCs who are posting the images of my point in the last video, the social media influencers, they don't care about you. Jake Paul was just arrested for trying to make it show like he was protesting and standing with his people. All the photo ops they got with the mask off, holding the signs Black Lives Matter, dressed in all black. Oh my God, so brave. He got arrested for stealing shit because he's a fucking retard. And it goes back to my core point, like, they don't care about you. You're like, a lot of this comes down to we're a vote when they need it and we're money when they don't care. We're money Monday through Friday, but in election season, we're a vote. When are you going to recognize that? Everyone's being played in this. Everyone is being played in this. The way to win is by not playing or to rise above and actually help facilitate change. We don't facilitate change protesting. I'm sorry, but that doesn't do shit. We've seen that over hundreds of years. We've all tried it. It doesn't work. Let's start attacking the systematic issues. And one way we can do that is by more voices like me who've had personal life experiences sharing with you. How long have I been doing this? I came on the scene in 2017. Was there Me Too? I think Me Too was just starting. A lot of these hashtag movements and all this popularity of Black Lives Matter, blah, 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 right? And look at what I've been giving you predominantly for free. Stuff to be better. You see, I've been serving my people. Can I do more? Yes. And am I going to look at doing more? Yes. Because in situations like this, I'm constantly reflecting on, can I do more? Am I doing enough, or do I still feel guilty inside? Who are my people, by the way? When I say my people are you. I don't see skin color. I don't see fucking gender. I don't see how much money you got or where you came from. I don't give a fuck about that. I care about peak potential. I care about squeezing the most out of the lemon. I care about maximum performance, peak performance, being the best version of myself, and wanting you to be the best version of yourself. That doesn't make me brave. That doesn't make me a fucking hero. Okay? Because I've been on this mission long before a stupid fucking YouTube channel, and I'll be on it long after they take it away from me. I'll be on it long after they drain all the social media out of all the fucking heroes. Okay? That's the difference. We need to be doing this shit when the cameras are off. We need to be doing this on a Monday when you don't fucking feel like it because. That's the reflection. How about we take that away from this and we start really working on how do we change the school system? You know, my point yesterday was you got white supremacy over here, Antifa over there. You got China on Muslims over here, Chinese on Tibetans over here. Where's that in the conversation, by the way? When are we going to talk about China and their treatment of over 3 million Muslim people? The millions of Tibetans who've gone missing. The Muslim versus Hindu war in Indonesia right now that nobody fucking talks about. Nobody gives a fuck about it. You know why? Not my problem, Jay. Doesn't affect me, Jay. But you can go be brave in the streets right now and protest, right? My point is not this like, I'm a bigger hero than you, posturing. Drop all that. Drop the egos. How do we best serve humanity? How do we best move forward together? We are in this together. That's not a punchline. We are in this shit together. And there is clearly a outside infiltration that has occurred, and there's clearly an operation that is running. I don't know who's in it. The speculations, you can call that bullshit. You can, make your opinions about who's behind it. Who cares? Can we all agree that the mysterious, huge amounts of bricks showing up, that the organization showing up in these peaceful protests, turning them into riots, there's an infiltration that has occurred. And that's part of the problem. We need to root that out so America can get back to being America. And you see, those are like some of the worst takes that I've seen happening, like now and over the years. Because fun fact, we're trending right now for Black Lives Matter in the same way we were trending in 2016. Go check it out in Google Trends right now. Type in Black Lives Matter. Big influx at 2 points before the 2016 election. Big influx right now. The summer of the 2020 elections, just like the summer of the 2016 elections. There are no coincidences in this game. We are all being played. They're trying to pin us against each other because the end goal is division. The end goal is to separate you from your family. Job well done, boys. They've done great. The job is for them to separate us from God. Whatever God you see fit, okay? Doesn't matter. Their job is to separate those things and get you in a place where you're easy to manipulate and they can have your fucking way with you. Okay? That's the game. That's the enemy. The enemy isn't me versus you. You can agree with one thing I just said. You can agree with all of it. It doesn't actually matter. What I want us to come to terms with is we need to all be able to reconcile our past. Because the same emotions that people of color are feeling right now, which I can feel for, because they're the same emotions that somebody who's had some fucked up shit and some traumas happen in their life. It's the same feeling. The kid who went through child abuse, the woman who's been sexually abused, the woman who was sold in a human trafficking environment. It's the same feeling she's got, people of color have got today. Not being able to get out of bed. I've heard it described. Not being able to get out of bed, feeling sick, not wanting to do anything, not being able to eat, not being able to work. Same feelings, guys. Same feelings. And those feelings, it's no coincidence that all the most fucked up shit that can happen to a human being, being judged based on your fucking color, are you kidding me? Being touched as a kid, being raped, put in those environments, in a human trafficking environment, which is huge in Asia, by the way. Where's your bleeding heart for them? Where's your bleeding heart for Africa and Bill Gates and all of his crazy vaccinations that are killing people? All those feelings are in the same thread of behavior and vice versa. We need to start getting down to that layer of the conversation. We're still up here. We're still spiritually bankrupt because up here we're willing to go and give all this emotion and just give out our life force, our prana, like it's cheap, like it means nothing. As we go out in the streets and scream at air and scream at nobody because nobody's listening. Because the people who are actually behind this issue are the ones facilitating us to go out and kick each other's ass in the streets. That is the problem. We need to tackle those issues. Okay? And once we do that, we can start to fix all these fucked up little threads. All of them. Human trafficking, abuse, gender on gender issues, race on race issues. All across the boards. We can bring all of that up. We can raise the frequency of all those things. Because they're, like I said, they're all in the same belt. But we can't do that right now. You see, because we're still in the surface level of the pain. We're still all actively avoiding our own hell. We have to dig into it. We have to dig into it. If you want to hear more about this stuff, well, I got some great solutions for you. This, what you're seeing in front of you, is a free email series that I've been doing since October, all about mindset, all about the shit I've learned from sitting down with some of the holiest people you'll never know their name of on this planet, and how they get through stuff, and how they process trauma, and how they process emotional issues. The shit works, guys. That's why I give it away for free, and I have been. And I will continue to. Because we need to raise the vibration. And we don't do that fighting primally like animals in the streets. We don't do it like that. Change can't occur that way. It has to occur a different way. Another piece too, if you want in on this, free macro. Hundreds of emails over the years now. About a year and two or 3 months. Anyways, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it around. If you don't like this video, that's great. Thumbs it down just like you did the last video. If you don't like me anymore, you think that this isn't your cup of tea, that's cool. Unsubscribe. We're going to jump back into regular marketing, macro, mindset type stuff, entrepreneurialism later in the next upcoming videos. I got some great videos planned for you guys. But there's key takeaways in what I just shared with you. There is ways to become a better entrepreneur, a better person, better husband, a better wife. Okay, in what I just gave you. And I think that's the most important piece. Forget about my skin color. Forget about, pieces you didn't like. There's enough gold in there to become a better person. And there is in every single message that I share, if you're willing to listen. With that being said, I love you all. Regardless of how you feel about my message, thank you so much for tuning in. Hit the thumbs up if you like it. Comment, subscribe, and we'll see you very soon in another video.